think I got the moniker King of Sting because, well, I've been stung by more things than anybody else. You get stung and just, wahoo! Holy cow! Thinking, ah! He's throbbing and throbbing. They really, really hurt. And the reason I was stung by more things than anybody else was I was trying to get enough data to support or reject my hypothesis that the sting was important in the evolution of sociality. This is the desert blonde tarantula, and they make wonderful pets. They'll live about 20 years once you get them. Let go of my thumb there so I can get my hand free. Whoops, they're kind of clumsy. So back in you go, little girl. I'm Justin Schmidt, entomologist and toxicologist. I work at Southwestern Biological Institute and at the University of Arizona in the Department of Entomology. Yeah, I just have a few desert creatures here. This one I'm not going to touch. This one's called a velvet ant. They call them cow killers. You say, why would you call them a cow killer? Well, because if you pick them up, you will be stung. When they sting, it says, holy cow, that would kill a cow. Basically, I study anything that's predator-prey relationship, but with particular emphasis on stinging insects. We have more species of scorpions than any other state. Aren't we lucky? I think we have about 56 for sure. They just hurt like the dickens for most people, and it goes on, causes numbness and just sheer utter pain. They're so venomous that the idea for them is if they run into a competition, if you have longer legs and arms, you can kind of be at a distance away from whoever you're grabbing and keeping them so they can't get you. And you way up over the top and sting them. Of course, once you sting them, that's the end. You've won. Insect sting pain it's a mechanism that allowed the evolution of sociality. In other words, if you're defending yourself and a little sting, little pain isn't much defense, but a lot of pain is. And so it turns out that the more pain you can produce, the larger you can make a social colony, which is going from a solitary individual raising her own offspring to all of a sudden a big colony like a honeybee colony or ant colony. Normally what happens is I'm out in the field somewhere, an opportunity strikes. Well, that comes with a sting or two, or more. If you have harvester ant, queens can live up to about 45 years, which is pretty much the world record for longevity in insects. So right down here, we have a Maricopa harvester ant colony. Harvester ants, they have colonies that range from 500 to 15,000, depending on the species. And they need to have a powerful sting to protect them against things that want to eat them. Lizards, frogs, toads, things of this sort. What we're going to do is, this is called an aspirator that I've made, which is basically a sucking tube, so you can collect a few ants. And just a convenient way to collect the ants. It's got a screen right here so that you don't want to suck the ant into your mouth. That would not be a good idea. I'm going to try to pick up a couple of them here. I got 2 so far. There's, we got 3 ants, that should do. So I had to dissect probably 10,000 harvester ants to get enough venom in order to determine the toxicity and the biochemistry of the venom. I look at 2 things with stinging insects. First of all, the painfulness of the sting, how much it hurts. And second of all, how toxic, how damaging is the sting. The pain scale basically is 1 to 4, 1 being very minor. In other words, it hurts a little bit, but not seriously enough. Won't shut you down or anything of that sort. The 2 is typically like a honeybee or a yellowjack, and that's darn painful. Anybody who's been stung by either one of those knows they really hurt. Everybody uses the same old, tired, boring picture of honeybee stinging something. was so ugly, and I thought, let's see if we can get something better. So I hired the photographer to help me get a better picture of what we wanted to show. As you can see the stinger into my arm there, and you can see the jewel, that little round silver white thing, that's the venom sac. You can see the bee exiting, ripping out of the bee, so it shows all the action in one point. And the pain of that was basically a 2, because I had to sit there and endure the pain without yelling or jerking or doing anything rash like that, or else we wouldn't get the photograph. And the 3 is something much, much worse, kind of like a harvesting ant that hurts for 1 to 4 to 8 hours, throbbing pain. The 4, you don't want to go there. 4 is like 10 times worse than a 3. And that'll be an example of something like the tarantula hawk, whereas the tarantula hawk stings you, just kind of paralyzes you. You're just such pain, you can't function. And they, of course, are given the name tarantula hawk because they will actually attack and sting a tarantula and paralyze the tarantula. Lay 1 egg on, just 1 egg, and that egg hatches and feeds on the paralyzed tarantula. One of these, you go, oh my God, it feels like a 20,000 volt wire just zapped you when you get stung. These things are 4 on the pain scale. In other words, about like 100 honeybees all at once. You know, when I wrote The Sting of the Wild, the reason I wrote it was to instill a sense of joy and beauty and awe of what I have for being privileged to be able to study these things. You don't have to be stung like I am. You can miss all that, but we'll take you on a safari and adventures of what happens in the field, how they affect the evolution of science, and just interesting stories. History, it brings us together, and it's fun.